Wow.
Good morning, Jonas.
Good morning, Rich.
It's cool to see you here on a live stream.
Yeah, likewise.
I think before we tell everyone what we're doing today, I should just send one tweet to let people know that we're live.
Perfect.
Let me do that for 1 second. I'll just mute.
Oh, wow. That was quick.
Hi. Now I have finished tweeting.
Okay.
I'm back in the room. Why don't we start by just landing together and checking in and seeing how the mood is between us, and then we can get into the conversation.
Perfect. Let us do that.
How are you on this Friday, the 20th of December?
Yeah, I'm very much feels like Friday the 20th of December. It's like end of the week, end of the year, end of the last real week of the year in a way. And I feel like, finally. It's been a busy few weeks. And it will be another busy day today and half of a busy day tomorrow. And I'm really looking forward to a break. But I also feel very grateful in a way for all of the things that are moving in my life and all of the kind of exciting stuff that's happening. And this week I felt like, oh, that's a lot of exciting stuff. Maybe maybe it's good if I take a break from the exciting stuff and just do something non-exciting for a few weeks. And seeing family and spending some time at home, seeing old friends. So that's what I'm looking forward to. But not before we have an exciting conversation about peer coaching.
Yay.
That's one more exciting thing that's happening today. And I'm very much looking forward to that. As having conversations with you about these topics is always very, very engaging and stimulating and shifts things for me as well. So that's how I am here. How are you?
I'm waking up. Like it does, like you say, it feels like Friday morning. I'm in some random hotel in Florence, and that's funny. There's lots of funny old paintings on the wall and stuff. I'm a little mixed bag of feelings, I guess. Like happy to see you. I think it's going to be, like I'm anticipating, it's going to be really helpful to have you coach me for a bit. And then I'm a little nervous or a little shy about this idea of being coached with an audience. It's a bit weird.
Yeah.
I don't want people to know that I am imperfect and I struggle with things. Is there a way we can avoid that?
You know that coaching move I always do where I go like, that's perfectly normal.
Yeah, great.
I'm just
What a relief. What a relief. So yeah, a little like edgy. When we started doing this live stream series, my thought was like, I feel like my life is just full of really excellent conversations, and I have really excellent collaborators like you, and I wanted to kind of put those excellent conversations on stage and open up our world for more people to get involved in.
Yeah.
And actually, like I think the reason I'm a bit shy and nervous is it's not natural to put a private conversation in public. It changes the thing, and so I'm like wanting to do something that's useful for people that are going to be watching this live or afterwards. But really, I actually have a real challenge, and I want your support with it. And that's like, yeah. So a mixed bag. I think it's going to be good, and I'm a little bit like, ooh,
Yeah.
not fully in my comfort zone.
That makes sense. maybe I just had a thought, because this is about peer coaching, right? And peer coaching is this like format where you and someone that is holding a similar role, maybe in a different context, or a friend that knows you really well, get together and support each other. And that's kind of our setup here too, as well. Like, in a way, we have a relationship like that. But we often run peer coaching as part of programs or courses, and there people get paired up that don't necessarily know each other super well. And I wonder whether you now being in front of an audience is a good simulation of feeling like, asked to disclose something to people I don't know so well yet. And just thought maybe to put some meaning to your nervousness.
Yeah, and actually, it makes me think maybe for this conversation, maybe we can almost pretend like we don't know each other so well,
Yeah.
and that you can ask more questions, like ask some of the basic questions about me as if you didn't already know. Like if that helps, I think it could help to check some of my assumptions and things to really get into the details.
Certainly.
Should we make sure that I would like to make sure that the context for this conversation is really clear.
Perfect.
So from my perspective, what's happening is next year, you and me and Jocelyn are running a peer coaching group starting in January. And today we're going to do a demo of like, what does peer coaching look like in practice? And like, I'm showing up with a challenge of my own, like a leadership challenge where I need support. And you're going to be my peer coaching buddy to help me get some clarity on that. And it's like, the conversation at one level is about the challenge that I'm bringing, but really we want people to be noticing, like, what is Jonas doing? What kind of questions is he bringing? What's the attitude? What's the sort of approach to being an effective peer coaching buddy, human person? So we'll try and like hold that meta perspective while actually being in the conversation as well.
Yeah. And also to say, why we call this peer coaching, I'm also trained as a coach, and that's what I do for part of my living. So it's like going to be somewhere in between what I do with clients and kind of this more informal peer coaching, where I don't have don't necessarily stick to my usual way of coaching, but I feel a bit more free to maybe share something out of my own experience, or ask if you want to hear some advice, or things like that. Maybe to distinguish peer coaching from coaching a little bit. Yeah.
And like peer coaching, I'm assuming from that description, it's like doesn't follow a formal framework, or there's not like a specific 1, 2, 3 steps. It's more about an attitude about how you show up to support someone.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe that's that's a good place to start, to name the attitude or the attitudes with which both of us are showing up or want to be showing up. I'm willing to show up as like attentive to what's happening for you, curious about the subtle shifts in your energy when you talk about your challenge versus your vision, or the story you tell yourself, or the things we'll be talking about. Compassionate, so like kind of caring for your experience in this, and kind of supportive and looking forward, like looking for what's the thing authentic Rich would do here, when he is not in his like most fearful doubts and worries about what could go wrong here.
I love that. I would like to know what would Rich do here. I need that on a little bracelet. What would Rich do?
Yes. It's a question that incidentally works well for me sometimes when I'm stuck. Yeah, how about you? How do you want to show up in this conversation?
Yeah, I want to be honest. I think I want to be real about real and measured about the challenge that I'm facing. Because as I hinted to already, I would prefer to pretend to be perfect and never struggle with things. And so there's like, there's some resistance to disclosing any kind of struggle, but then there's also a sweet spot where I want that struggle to be balanced, or like, it's easy for me to get overwhelmed, and to say like, I feel hopeless, and
Yeah.
to like acknowledge a problem makes it worse somehow. And that I get to the end of the conversation, I'm like, oh, this is so overwhelming and I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And this sucks. Like, I would like to leave with just like a tiny bit more clarity,
Yeah.
and sense of a little bit of optimism, not to have my problem solved, but to feel more resourced, or like more able to make headway on it.
Yeah. Well, I think talking about it with someone that explicitly agrees to hold a supportive container is a great way of not getting overwhelmed by by a challenge. Let me know if at any point during the conversation you feel like, oh no, now I've called on the demons and now I don't see anything else.
No demons. No demons welcome here. This is a demon-free space.
Cool. Sweet. Yeah, and thanks for being courageous and like making yourself a bit vulnerable in front of an audience. That's really takes something.
Well, it takes my trust in you. I think I'm gonna be fine.
Cool. Should we get into it? So, what's up? What's challenging?
Okay, so it's the end of the year, and it feels natural to reflect on the year that's been, and to kind of mark the progress, and to say, oh, I did a good job on this, and I could improve on this, and kind of reset my expectations and my goals for the next year, and so on. And I'm looking back on the year that's been, and I'm really not at all satisfied with the progress that I've made on my main goal. Like, the main goal that I've had this year is to, well, I wasn't planning to finish this year, but the goal is to buy a retreat center. And it's supposed to be a multi-year process, but despite the amount of time and energy I've put into it this year, I feel like it's as if like I'm looking at a mountain and I've just been like walking around at the same level, getting different perspectives on how big this mountain is. And I haven't actually climbed any altitude, very little altitude. And I spend most of the time just going, wow, that looks so steep. Gosh, and then I walk around the other side. I'm like, wow, it's really steep that way too. And I just don't really, I feel so out of my depth, or like I'm really not familiar with this thing. I'm used to setting goals that are ambitious but exciting and doable. And once I get clarity about what I want, I just go and get it. And I have this kind of determination, and almost like an obsession, like a real determined focus, sustained focus that just gets the job done. And this year I've been just stagnating in different ways, and kind of getting intimidated and backing off. And then I get a fresh idea about, oh, I could approach it this way. This might be a little bit more accessible, and get really excited about that. And then 3 days later, I'm like overwhelmed by doubts again. So I've come to this like awful, dreadful, cringy conclusion that I hate to say it, but I think my like work out there in the world is fundamentally constrained by my inner work, and that there's like a bunch of kind of emotional maturity that I need to develop before I'm actually going to be capable of doing this job that I've set for myself.
Mm.
And it makes me feel sick to admit it, but I think it might be the truth. And
can I pause you there for a second?
Yeah.
Because I think that's actually really great what you're saying. It's like I see very clearly what it is that I want to be doing in the world, or what I want to get, what the goal is. But it seems like the things I've been trying so far are not working. So let's try something else. And let's turn inward and see like what are the roadblocks, or and I wonder what the sick feeling is about, or because to me that sounds like a very sane strategy.
What's the sick feeling about? I think part of it is the narrative that I have about being an activist, or being someone who's I don't know. It's hard to describe, but I have this picture of like being a young punk and being excited about changing the world, and just being full of fire and anger and enthusiasm. And to tell that younger version of me, oh yeah, my progress is we're putting all those dreams on pause for a second while I go to therapy and like try to understand my emotions better. Just really feels a bit like selling out, or like taking a detour that, parts of me don't respect that. I think that's it. It's like, just get on with it and do the thing.
Yeah.
Why are you being a baby? Or baby's not quite it, but yeah, I'm like, there's a kind of part of me that's just really impatient and like, can't you just do the thing? Why do you have to do all of this dwelling on not being able to do the thing?
Yeah. Why do you have to do all this dwelling on not being able to do the thing? Maybe that's an interesting question to look at, like, because dwelling implies like kind of staying longer than necessary with the challenge, or with the doubts and the worries and the overwhelm, or is it does that ring true for you as well?
I mean, that's what comes up with this dwelling idea. It's not it's definitely just like a part of me that is impatient. And then there's another part which is like, it's rational. It's like the strategies I've been trying so far are not working. I need something else. That I've actually had to kind of resize my goals in a way where it's almost like just about put that dream on pause for a second and focus on what are the obstacles and what are the different strategies that I can apply to get back into a sense of competence and productivity and like making forward momentum again. And it's just very humbling, I think. And I don't like the feeling of being humbled. It's not my natural state.
Have you ever bought a retreat center before?
I have never bought a retreat center before.
So it sounds to me like quite a normal experience to be like, there's a thing I would like. I've never done it before, so I'm sure I can do it. Then, like going and starting to learn about, this is what is necessary to do it. Oh, that's a steep mountain here, and that's another way to do it, but that's also quite hard and something I have to learn first. So like to me it makes sense that the original plan of just go and get it is like has to be revised along the way, and maybe a few times, because there's just no way of knowing what lays ahead before you actually get there.
Maybe I could modify my metaphor about this mountain climbing journey, and it's like, I actually have been climbing, I have been making altitude, but it's just every time I make headway, you realize, the summit is actually a lot further off than I thought it was. So it doesn't feel like any progress is happening, but I'm getting closer and just realizing the magnitude of what I've put my mind to.
Yeah. But what are some ways in which you've been making progress?
I mean, the biggest one is getting the first funder to say yes, that they're going to support us. That was really huge.
Yeah.
And it came very easily. And so that kind of set me up to imagine this is going to be a really easy game. And just got to ask a few people and say, hey, can I borrow some of your money, please? I'm buying something really cool. And they would say yes. Turns out that's not sufficient. But getting the first yes, the first really concrete yes, a second yes, which is not as concrete, but I think, I can't fully rely on it, but I think it's pretty close. That felt really good too. And then the other main progress that I've made is like basically trying different ways of writing a story or a narrative or a business plan. Here's a document that tries to capture what's the vision, what's the business model, what are we trying to achieve here? How's it all going to work? Why is it a sound thing to lend money to? So we made headway on that. And I guess I kind of discount that because it's just nowhere near the state that I wanted to be in. And getting 1.5 yeses is nowhere near I want 10 or 15 yeses by now. So this progress is being overshadowed by the dissatisfaction.
Yeah. Did you have a clear goal for how many funders you would like to have a yes from by the end of the year, or is that more of an implicit, like, I feel like I should be further along? Or
I mean, I don't think I usually set very clear goals. It's like I've got this destination that I'm really clear on, and then the intermediate steps. I'm just like, you just got to head in that direction and go as fast, as hard as you can until you're done.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you notice about that strategy? Like,
well, it's part of the bigger picture of like my strategy is not working.
yeah.
That I need something. I need a strategy that I haven't tried before, or I need to import an existing strategy from somewhere else. Like it's almost like, do I need project management? Do I need someone managing me? Do I need a board of advisors that I'm reporting to once a month and letting them know my progress and getting feedback on it? And I have the thing is that's been discouraging is that I have been trying different things. I've been trying to call in support in different ways, and naturally, most of those ways don't really work, or they work partially, and it's not fully satisfying. And I'm so unused to asking for help that when I get the help and it's not great, I find that extremely discouraging. And that just kind of reinforces the story of like, well, what's the point of even asking? Like,
yeah, I can't be helped.
yeah, or that people that I think the root of the story is something that people really don't understand me well enough to be able to help.
Yeah.
That they always miss what's crucial about being me. And so if they have advice or something, it just kind of like does this near miss and goes past me.
Yeah, I have a lot of compassion for the part that feels that way. I can experience that too sometimes. Like, damn, I asked for help and it was not satisfying. I'm never going to do that again.
Yeah. It's somehow, it does somehow feel like I would have been better off not asking. Because admitting that I need help is somehow, I was going to say humiliating. I'll just go with that word. There's a part of me that thinks it's humiliating.
All right. In what way is it humiliating to ask for help?
It just puts me in a place of I'm just subordinated to someone else's resources or advice or their wishes or their I don't know, but it's like being dependent. It's like being dependent on someone else. Feels inherently fragile and just a place that I don't want to be. Like I want to be self-sufficient and capable and being the one giving help, and being on the receiving end. It's like going to the hospital. It's like, okay, I'm glad that hospitals exist, but I don't really want to hang out there.
Yeah. So asking for help doesn't feel good because it confronts you with a sense of dependence or non-independence. How is it right now to be receiving support? Like, because that's what we're doing right now, right? Like I'm here to help you with sorting through some thoughts around this challenge, or
it's pretty good, basically. Like I think it's good because I trust you. That I feel like I've supported you in the past and you've supported me in the past, and that it's like kind of I don't feel dependent on you or vice versa, but I feel interdependent with you. It's like essentially fun. The stuff we do together is like mutually supportive and fun. So it just feels like a continuation of that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of just saying there's a kind of help which actually feels natural and actually stimulating. It's nice. It's like, oh, cool. I get to be the focus of attention, and I'm anticipating that something's going to get a little clearer as a result.
Yeah.
So it's not living up to the fantasy that I had about being awful.
Yeah. Cool. So I just want to orient us a bit in the whole terrain that we've already covered. You're trying to buy a retreat center. You've never done that before. You're discovering, oh, it's harder than I thought it would be. You've come to the conclusion that maybe you need help with it, but you haven't been able to find the help that has been really satisfying. And additionally, you're like, oh, maybe I need to do some inner work before I can do the outer work. But there's also parts of you that feel impatient with that, or
That's it. That's what's going on.
That's what's happening. Cool.
Can I have my retreat center now, please?
Yeah. Cool. I wonder, like, in terms of, because now we've been talking a bit about like what all is happening for you in this situation. I wonder, in terms of the actual, like, doing the work of buying the retreat center or getting the funders to say yes, or finding funders to ask, or whatever the next kind of logical next step is. What's challenging about, like, specifically progressing with the work? Because there's this whole space of how you feel about it, and like what you think about you need to do to get the help, or like move forward within yourself. And that's really important, and we can also look more at that. But I feel like if we look a bit at the, like, physical reality, what's hard about that and what comes up in you in relation to that, maybe that's a way to see things a bit more clearly.
Yeah. What's hard is I keep feeling like I'm in over my head. And the way that shows up is like, normally, like I've started some businesses, I've run a lot of events, I've launched products. I'm in the routine of starting new things and getting them off the ground and pulling a team together and finding a business model that works for them. And I'm just propelled by a clarity of vision and frankly a high opinion of myself, like a sense of confidence of like, this product needs to exist. I'm the one to make it happen. I can't do it by myself, but I know who can help. We're going to make it work. And that, I guess I'm coming to terms with just how pivotal that sense of conviction and confidence and competence and like I'm the man for the job, that feeling is absolutely essential to my process. But what's been happening with the retreat center is like there are different approaches. So one approach is go and talk to 10 people who are in a position to potentially say yes to funding this. I will get into the third conversation on that route and not be satisfied with the interaction, not get the answer that I'm looking for, or even not be able to really get the conversation going in the first place. And instead of saying, okay, well, that's number 3, that didn't go so well, let's do number 4, it just becomes like this choking, it like throws a spanner in the works of like this core system of confidence and like I can do this. Okay, so that's not really working. Let's put that to one side. I've got a different approach. There's a different approach, which is like instead of talking to funders one at a time, I'm going to run a retreat, and the retreat is going to demonstrate what we're really good at, and it's going to get some of the right people in the room, and we're going to show them like this is the cool thing, and we want to do more of this, and then we ask them to fund us. And the same thing happens. It's like running an event is a much smaller challenge than fundraising to buy a place. But I almost feel like I've got a virus that's undermining my confidence, and it's just showing up again in this different, what to me feels like a smaller challenge. It's kind of like, nope, it's the same challenge.
Yeah.
You can't hide from me.
Yeah.
And so like what's happening is that I hit a roadblock, and then instead of just taking a detour, I just stop and I'm like, okay, this is scary, or this is really uncomfortable. I'm going to just do something else completely.
Yeah.
Which means I've been making a lot of music, which is which is great. It's a really great coping strategy.
Yeah. Cool. I'm hearing some interesting things there. So one thing you're saying is like usually you have this conviction of like I'm the man for the job. I have what it takes to make this vision a reality, and you see that that's really essential for like making things work and bringing things into reality. And now you're coming up against points where that conviction is like not so strong anymore, or like you've been mentioning I talk to funders and one conversation doesn't go so well, and then like you stop, and I wonder like what does that conviction change into so that you stop? Like what's the story you tell yourself instead?
Yeah, well, the story is like there's a feedback loop that's kicking in. It's kind of like fear can get into a feedback loop where it becomes paranoia.
Yeah,
it's kind of the same thing where there's like a healthy kind of doubt where someone says, hey, I don't think your idea is very good, and then you think like, oh, maybe my idea is not very good. Yeah, I should really consider that option. There's a kind of healthy way to do that doubt, but it seems with me I'm kind of getting into that feedback loop of doubt where it's not just like, oh, I have some doubts about the specific detail of this fundraising plan, but I'm second guessing, my identity, my whole life story. What have I been? Who am I? What have I got to contribute to the world? It kind of recasts any achievements that I've made in the past as being meaningless, and like, this is overwhelming self-doubt.
Yeah. So it's like this funder didn't like my idea, so that must mean that everything I did up until this point has no meaning, and I'm not going to succeed in this.
Yeah, and the best thing to do is to not think this or feel this. So I'm going to go and learn about how to make techno.
All right. Yeah, it makes sense that parts of you don't want to feel that. It sounds like not a good feeling.
Yeah, it's a really not. It's a really ungood feeling. It's one of the
Yeah.
ungoodest feelings that I know.
Yeah. Because if that's like the center of your attention, or if that's what you act out of, how do you show up to the challenge of finding funders for the retreat center?
Well, this is part of the like, it seems rational, actually. It seems like a good choice to not contact funders while I'm caught up in doubt.
Yeah.
I'd really, this has been something that's difficult for me, is that my usual way of doing things is very transparent and authentic and straightforward about what's going on for me.
Yeah.
And I don't feel that I can be honest with people because, and maybe this is a wrong assumption, but I think it's actually true, that people who are in a position where they can allocate funding of that magnitude, they just want to feel certain that that's a safe bet, and
Yeah.
they don't want someone to show up and say, you know what, I was up all night crying about this. I don't know if I can do it. They might say that they want that. They might say that I want to have an honest relationship with the people that I'm funding, but I don't believe that they do. And so that it's like I'm being asked to play a game that I don't know how to play.
Yeah. It may be true that like disclosing all of your feelings about this to funders is not the most strategic thing. Put me out of my misery, just give me money.
Just give me the money, I'll do good, I promise.
So maybe that's a good thing, but still, like in light of what is the end goal, are you making any progress towards that? When that's in the center of your attention, like, because this person told me it's not a good idea, it means that it's not a good idea and I don't have what it takes.
The interesting thing is, this feeling of I don't have what it takes is not about the retreat center.
Uh-huh.
It's about the fundraising.
Yeah.
I feel completely confident that that the retreat center is both going to be like a good place that makes a useful contribution to the world, that I'm going to love running it, that the business model is going to work. Like, I have no doubt about any of that. I think it's completely solid.
Yeah.
I've never had any doubt about that. The doubt is just about, yeah, I don't know if I can actually get the fundraising together. And that's the necessary step before I get to the bit that I'm confident about.
Yeah. Yeah. So it sounds like there's a skill you need to learn here. Fundraising. And I wonder, the rich that knows this retreat center is a really good thing, and because of this, that, and that, it's going to make a meaningful contribution to the world. It's going to be a great place. People are going to have transformational experiences there. Out of that energy, what would be a next step in the learning journey to get good at fundraising to the level that you need to?
I think there's kind of two options. One is find the right collaborator. Maybe I don't need to get good at fundraising, you know. Maybe there's someone out there who's already good at it, and what they lack is what's a really awesome project that I'm excited about. And I say, I've got one. I got 17 actually, but so maybe I don't need to get really good at it. Or if I do need to get good at it, which maybe I do, maybe it's one of these things that's very difficult to outsource. then I need to learn something. And I think I'm being confronted with the shortcomings in my learning style, where I just prefer to. I just generally I'm self-taught on everything, and I don't often find the people that are great at something and then learn from them. I
Mhm.
kind of get a vague idea about where I want to go, and then I figure out everything out to get there. And once again, I'm realizing the limitation of that and being like, huh, this like do it myself self-sufficiency thing, I think is really cool. And it means that I come up with creative ideas, but it also feels like a really long way around sometimes for something like fundraising, which is actually a very well-established set of skills that a lot of people know how to do.
Yeah.
Um, I even had the idea this morning at 4 a.m., because that's been the quality of my year, is like waking up at 4 in the morning with this like, I need to make progress on this. And I thought, I should talk to a few people that have done this.
Hmm.
Because you keep telling me it's normal to have this experience, and it would be good to actually meet some people who have done this and see what it was like for them, and for them to say it's normal.
Yep. Yeah, right,
And
because
to actually have,
I've never bought a retreat center. I just assume it's normal.
yeah,
Because that's what happens when we go for goals that are bigger than what we've previously played for. But yeah.
I think it's like, I don't actually know um, if my idea for the fundraising is actually doable or not. Like the specific set of constraints that I have about how I want to do it, I don't know if it's doable.
Yeah.
And talking to some other people that have done it that way or done it in a different way, and like what are the trade-offs involved and why they went that way. Like I know a bunch of people that have raised money and given up control of their project in the process, and I'm not interested in that.
Yeah.
But then I met someone recently that raised $30 million for their crypto project, and they gave away nothing, like nothing.
Mm.
And I don't know how they did it or what their process was like,
Yeah.
or what they went through to get there.
Yeah.
So yeah, like calling in like who's done this before and what can I learn from them?
Yeah.
Systematically. That would be good.
Mm.
I think that would make a big difference.
Yeah. And let's look at this for a second. If a year from now you had a retreat center and you managed to fundraise for it, because now, but I don't know, second week of January, you had a conversation with someone that bought a retreat center last year, and they gave you some hints about the strategy for talking to funders or how to fundraise for something like this, and you followed that, and actually, that works. Like, what would that be like if that would be the way to get there?
I mean, I'm so excited about the prospect of having the job done that I'm like, part of me is just like, any way that we get there is great.
Yeah.
And then the specific of calling in help from like-minded people. Yeah, that actually feels natural as well. And I feel like that's been one of the changes that's been percolating up in my subconscious the last couple of weeks, is like, part of the reason that this is difficult is because I'm in the habit of being self-sufficient.
Yeah.
And then going out to make one huge request of people is too much of a learning curve.
Yeah.
Whereas practicing what is it like to make small requests of people, and then can I escalate gradually from, hey, can I have an hour of your time, to can I have 10 grand to fund an event that I'm doing, to can I have 100 grand to contribute to this? That actually feels like a more I just had this feeling of like, it's both logical and a little bit of disappointment of like, that is obviously the way to do things.
Yeah.
It's the disappointment of like feeling my wishful thinking crumple a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. What's more important to you? Doing it in the way your wishful thinking wants you to, or getting to the end goal of having a retreat center?
I mean, what's most important is that I spend most of my time doing things that feel fun for me and like a good contribution to the world.
Yeah.
And the difficult feelings I've been having with this one might be because actually I'm not capable, or we don't actually have the idea, or it's not going to work for some reason. And I kind of want to stay in touch with the possibility that it's not going to work and it's going to be fine, that something else is going to happen instead.
Yeah.
And that, what happens through this process is I reach out and I talk to these people that have related interests, and I get enrolled into their project, and I just wind up, I'm not leading my own thing, I'm contributing on theirs.
Yeah.
And that could be awesome. Or I land a corporate gig for 2 years, which is enough to get a deposit together on my own anyway, and just do it that way. Or something happens with my family and I have to move back to New Zealand, or like that. There's all these different possibilities in front of me, and that's the most important thing to me, is that I'm in a day-to-day existence which feels life-giving and fun and useful.
Yeah.
And then second importance is I get a retreat center. And then third importance is my current personality structure survives intact. Like that. That's lower down the list. It's like I'm willing to be dismantled for this.
Cool. Yeah. And sometimes with these like convictions of like, because that very much resonates with me. That's like, I'm a person who can do things on their own. And I'm someone who figures out shit. Like, I'm good at figuring out shit, and it's fun to figure out shit. That's like a kind of a structure of knowing, or a lens through which I see the world, that is really useful in many situations. And sometimes it's not so useful. It's like when you want to cross a river, a boat is really useful. But when you get to the other side and there's a trail that leads up a mountain and you're still carrying the boat on your head, like, man, this is not why am I still carrying this fucking boat around? It's like, it's time to get out the hiking boots. And it doesn't mean that you need to let go of the I can figure out shit. Maybe just means you get to figure out other shit that's more advanced, or more like, yeah, where it's more aligned with where you want to get, or
I think it's just less familiar.
Yeah,
I think that's the thing.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I think what I need is the supportive structure. Like I said, if it's a board of advisors, or a monthly meeting, or something, where that I can try different experiments and have a point of reflection with someone and go like, how are those experiments running? What's the next one? Rather than kind of relying on internally generating my enthusiasm all the time, and being able to calibrate like, oh, that didn't work, and how big of a deal is it that it didn't work? Like, probably not that big. There's probably loads of other options to try still. What's the next one? I'm just feeling the lack of that supportive structure.
Yeah. I wonder whether you have one or two people in mind that you have a hunch might be willing and able to support you on this.
So I do. I've immediately got like 7 people come to mind, which is
Wow.
lucky for me. I know a lot of cool people. And the doubt is that, like I said, I have kind of tried this in different configurations, and it hasn't worked. And
Yeah.
that the consequence of it not working is actually like net negative. It actually would have been better if I hadn't tried, because I find it so discouraging to do the process of reaching out and trying something and it not working. It's like I would have been better off. You go interrupt.
Well, but what are we talking about here? Is it maybe I missed something? Is it about asking people who've done this before to kind of give you a download of their process and some advice, or is it about people who are a board of advisors and that you can check in with regularly? Is this the same thing, or are they
No,
separate?
they're different things. So yeah, the board of advisors thing I've tried and not been satisfied, or just kind of it's been useful to discover what I need.
Yeah.
But it's been really discouraging to be like, it's not this.
Yeah.
You know. I think talking to people who have done something similar, I think that's just going to be straightforward.
Yeah.
Be good, be help. But getting the bigger supportive context that keeps me on course.
Yeah.
Consistently over the next year, basically.
Yeah.
That I'm just nervous about setting it up and it not going well, and like how to make it easy to try and to exit if it's not working without losing face.
Oh, if only there was a framework out there for time-bound experiments in peer support. Who could have an idea about that?
What would Rich do?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I can do that. There's 2 guys in Barcelona that I can ask if they'd be up for like a monthly jam, and that they can help. I think what I need is the balance of the kind of business acumen and the emotional attunement.
Yes.
And I usually get one or the other.
Yes.
And I need both. Because having someone that's emotionally attuned and is just saying, yes, your dreams are really important and your fears are totally normal. It's good.
Your impression of me, or
only the second half. The second half was it's good, but it's like, it's nice to have a therapist who's there to provide this unconditional support. But it needs to be backed up by, is this actually realistic?
Yes.
And I think these 2 guys could be a good fit.
Cool. By when are you willing to reach out to them?
They're both out of town, so like I would set the goal. See if we can have a first meeting in January.
Yeah.
By the end of January. Yeah. I'll write it down.
Perfect. So having a first meeting by the end of January, for that to happen, like what is the next thing you will do with it?
Send them, open a Telegram with both of them and send them a message saying, hey, I want to do this thing. I need help. I think it might be fun for you, even if it's not important. What's important is me getting helped. Yeah, would you be up for it? And I think I might include the second option, which is I certainly need help, and it might be useful to just focus on me. But second option would be the 3 of us could help each other. We could take turns.
Yeah.
But the exciting thing is that, like I said, they live in the same city as me, so it could actually be face-to-face encounter.
Cool. That's always
maybe we do a work meeting and then we go out to a show.
Perfect. Yeah. Why not make it a little bit sweet? Hey, cool. And just to satisfy my inner coach part, that's like, cool, we have a very specific step, but by when are you willing to do it?
I don't know. Like the obvious thing would be to do it right now.
Mm.
But I have this thing of like I try to only say I'm going to do something when I really mean that I'm going to do it.
Uh-huh.
And I feel like being observed in this way interferes with my ability to make a really clean commitment.
Yeah.
So it's like, will I do it today? Probably.
Mm.
But I actually want to like have some quiet introspection to decide if that's actually what I want to do.
Yeah. Fair enough. Would it be helpful?
But I can let you know.
Yeah, I was going to say, would it be helpful to have a little check-in or something?
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
I'll let you know by the end of the day what I've done.
Perfect. Yay. Yeah, I feel like we're coming to somewhat of a natural stopping point.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder whether we just want to do a quick thing of like, what is each of us taking away from this? Or
Yep. I think that'd be good. So we just did, 45 minutes of Jonas coaching me. And the question is, what are we taking away from that experience? Or maybe the question is, what aspects of peer coaching were demonstrated in this conversation?
If anyone is listening right now and was listening for a while and you have some ideas, feel free to put them in the replies or in the chat, or I'm not quite sure how this works.
Yeah, they'll show up in the chat. Wherever you are watching this, if you put them in the chat, they'll show up for us. That'll be awesome. What did you notice about peer coaching? Well, what about you, Jonas? What did you notice? I mean, I can tell you, I saw the one move that I saw in particular. There was lots of things you were doing, but one thing you did that I think is like very straightforward and very seldom emerges in me spontaneously. Is just to recap, just to say, hey, so here's the landscape. You told me this, and this is where we are, right? And that having that recap feels very supportive and relaxing. It's like, yeah, this thing which in my head was like 30 minutes of explaining and trying to give context is actually like 30 seconds of summarized bullet points.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, good. That one's understood. I don't have to hold on to it. I can kind of let go of
that. Yeah, that's a really fun one. That's where my like inner adventurer comes really alive, because I get to like map a landscape. I'm like, all right, okay, so here's a little like dark cave that we get to explore later, maybe. And there's a really high peak over there that's really beautiful, and yeah, cool. I think the main thing that I was trying to do is to like help you see what is it, like what are the kind of the bits of story that are really sticky. You were like using the expression throwing a spanner in the wheel. It's like what's the spanner? And like helping you look at it in a moment of like being settled and not easily getting overwhelmed, and be like, okay, like if I subscribe to that, where do I end up? How do I show up, and what are my what is my behavior, and what is the result of that? And help you see that you actually have choice in that, like what you focus your attention on. And the choice may look like setting a smaller goal, because in the context of a smaller goal, it's possible to stay focused on this is what I want, and this is the vision, and that's what's important to me about it. And it's like, look at the next fall summit as the as the like focus right now, and not know already in your mind, it's only a fall summit, we'll have to like keep hiking for another 12 hours after that. Yeah. Yeah. But it's like, I don't know, it's not a specific move, but that's the kind of the lens that I'm trying to hold, is like, what's holding you back, what's important to you, and how can you create an anchor for yourself, something to focus on, that
Yeah.
you can actually hold on to?
I think there was something. I think there was something that I noticed about what you did was you didn't. Almost everything you said was a question,
Mm.
and a genuine question, not like, "Have you thought about doing this?" But actually trying to understand. And if I was in your shoes, I think what I'd be doing is like reverse engineering my impulse to give advice,
Mm.
and go, okay, this advice is assuming you don't know something or that your attention is moved, that your attention is like artificially limited onto this point,
Yeah.
and my advice is going to get you to look over there. And it's like, well, maybe instead of just telling you to look over there, I can actually inquire into, hey, is this assumption, like, can you tell me more about that assumption that you're holding?
Yeah.
And just let you explore it for a while, and
Yeah.
then you'll come up with your own. You'll start expanding your attention naturally without me having to forcefully put it in one direction. And if I do give you the advice, it's very easy for you to say, yeah, I've already tried that.
Yeah.
And your attention stays locked down.
Yeah. I think like my basic assumption in all of this is you have the answers you need. Like it's not up to me to give any answers to the questions you're asking. Like that's the main thing I'm focused on. It's like Rich has his own inner voice of wisdom. He knows what to do. He just doesn't have access to it right now. And can I help you get access to that?
Yeah. And this comment has come in from Pony. Hi, Pony. Good morning. I'm really glad to hear from you, and I'm sorry we have delayed your breakfast. Breakfast is sacred right in my family. But yeah, the thing that you're pointing out about the small bets, making small bets for collaboration, I think that is really the big takeaway for me. Is like, what's something where there's a limited downside and potentially unlimited upside, is calling in the right collaborators and just doing that in a way where it's like easy to make an ask.
Yeah. So like, what do you say, Pony, about it's tolerably confronting? I think that's that's a good measure of like, I don't try to or like I try not to let you get away with your own bullshit in a way. So I want to confront you with that a little bit, but not to the extent where you get defensive.
Yeah. Instead of like, hey man, your shit stinks, it's like, do you think your shit stinks?
Does this smell like shit to you?
What aromas do you notice around the shit?
Yeah. That's cool. Hey, I wonder whether we want to say a word or two about In Good Company. I can do that.
Great.
Because like we're doing this because it's fun, because we are friends and collaborators, and you have a challenge, and it's cool to get you some support around it, and I enjoy coaching. But also we are running an 8-week program next year, starting on the 30th of January, if I'm not mistaken. And it's called In Good Company, and it's a peer coaching and group coaching program for people in leadership positions that are facing hard questions like, how do I fundraise for this awesome project? Or how do I enroll new people into my team in a way that they feel their own agency and can grow as people, and also the integrity of our shared mission is kept. Or how do I give feedback from a position of power to people with less power, without like to enable them to grow and not to like make them feel miserable? Or questions like these, like if you are part of a kind of purpose-driven thing, a team, an NGO, a non-formal group, a small company, and you're taking responsibility for helping other people act and achieve purpose in the face of uncertainty, then you're likely like in a bit of an exposed position in your own context. And that's what we've experienced in our own like journey through growing as leaders in different contexts. That often it's a very lonely position. There's like only a handful of people, if at all, that can relate to what you're doing or the challenges you're facing in that position in your own context. So what we're trying to do is bring people from different contexts together that share that experience. And Rich and I and our friend and collaborator Jocelyn will be hosting half of the sessions. So something similar to what's happened today, we will provide to the participants. A few each session, and the others get to witness and learn through observing. And the other half of the sessions is peer coaching. So we are going to provide some guidance on how to have a supportive peer coaching conversation. And then you just get to play with each other and be supportive for each other. Yeah. Do you have anything to add?
That sounds really cool, and I can't wait. If you want to know more, I'll make sure there are links shared with whatever platform you're watching in, but the short version is thehum.org/ingoodcompany. And that's where you can find out all the details and register. We have scholarships, so money's not a barrier. If you don't have money at the moment, we just want to have the right people in the room working together over the 8 weeks starting January 30th. Applications close on January 16th, so don't delay too much. You can think about it over Christmas, but get back to work early in January to lock it in, or else you'll miss out. We'll run out of spaces.
Cool. All right.
And let me just affirm my enormous enthusiasm for jamming with you. It's been really fun today. I feel helped, and like my enthusiasm is restored, and today's going to be a good day.
Very happy to hear that. And yeah, it was very fun for me as well. Very fun way of starting the day, having a big cup of coffee and a conversation with you. Very cool. Sweet.
All right, friends. Maybe the other thing to say for our internet friends, you can reach out to Jonas or to me, and we'll be happy to talk about these things. If you've got leadership questions, bring them. If there's anything on your mind, we want to hear from you. Just drop us a line.
And if you're like, ooh, this sounds kind of interesting, but I'm not sure if it's the right thing for me at this moment, also let us know. We're happy to have a quick chat about it and see if it's a good fit.
All right.
Cool.
Time to go.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye, my friend.